see you guys in the dark.
So this happened when my friend and I were 15 years old. We both lived super close to each other, so I'd often go to her place after school to do homework and hang out. A little info: her house has a park that pretty much backs up to it, and a side entrance to the park is literally right next to her house. It's typically only used by people in the neighborhood, but you are immediately in the thickest part of the woods when you enter from that entrance. So it was a Friday, and we really didn't have any homework for the weekend. Her mom had dropped us off at the house and left to do errands, so we decided to go on a walk with her dog. We live in a very good neighborhood with low crime, and we were very familiar and comfortable with this park. Plus, there being two of us with a dog during the day, we weren't at all worried. So we change out of our school uniforms, get some hiking shoes on, and make our way to the park entrance. We start our walk, and the day is a perfect day for being outside. We instantly fall into comfortable conversation as we head to our favorite part of the woods. Sorry if this is confusing, but I'll try to explain the trail as best as possible. So there's a couple miles of winding paved trail until we run into the first split. If you go left, it will lead you to the main park area with swings, restrooms, picnic area, and all of that. If you go right, it leads to a bridge that will take you to another trail option. We went right to head over the bridge since the trail we wanted was that way. This is where things got weird. We began making our way over the bridge and see a runner heading our direction. We both moved to the side to let him pass, and I just got a really bad feeling. You know, the one. Hair standing up on ends, heart speeding up, and just a true sense of alarm by this person. He passed us and stared back at us over his shoulder a while. But I mostly decided I was being overly paranoid. Or he was staring at the dog, because who doesn't like looking at a cute dog? After all, he seemed pretty average and non-threatening in general. Still, I tucked it in the back of my mind just to stay a little more aware of our surroundings. So we continue on our walk, which leads to another two trail options. Left continues as a paved area, and right is a dirt trail that is overgrown in spots. We took the right because it was deeper into the woods and where our hangout spot was. So our spot is completely off the dirt trail, and we have to walk across a log over a small part of the creek to get to it. So not many people know about this area, which is why we liked it. Most people don't even take the dirt trail unless they are bird watching or taking nature photos. We get to our spot and we hang out just chatting about life. We both didn't have the best home life, crazy mothers, putting it mildly. So it was nice to be able to chat with each other about stuff in privacy. So, maybe 10 minutes after we made it to this spot, we heard a branch snap at a distance from us. From where we were, we could see that someone was on the dirt trail, but whoever wouldn't have an easy view of us. We look over and my heart just drops. I can just make out the runner from the bridge through the trees. He had on bright red shorts, so it was easy to tell it was him. Immediately we both knew that something was not right. This isn't a trail someone out on a run would take ever, and he obviously turned around on his run to head back in our direction. And he had originally come from the paved trail that we didn't take earlier, so alarm bells were ringing. He walks past our spot and quietly continues down the dirt trail, no longer running like he's trying to be quiet. We are at a decent distance, and thankfully he was keeping his gaze forward. Or he might have seen us. My friend and I are silently watching, and when he is out of view, she turns to me and says, "We need to go now." And I say, "Yeah, something is not right about that guy." My friend just nods, "Yes." So she lets her dog off of her leash. She's very good at following, and she would be able to move faster without the lead, and so would we. I do have to mention this dog will not be helpful if the situation escalates, because she failed at being a service dog because she was overly friendly to strangers. She couldn't stay focused on her tasks. So very obedient. But everyone is a friend. So no help coming from her, and he hadn't even been deterred from seeing her to begin with. She was just a smaller yellow lab. We take off at this point, trying to be quiet and fast because we will have to cross over the dirt trail that he was on, and we don't want him coming back and seeing us. My friend falls scrambling across the log into the creek. I slip at the end, so both of us have very waterlogged shoes, and we panic because of the noise. So we just take off knowing that we already made a ton of noise anyways. We didn't run back to the paved area because we were too deep into the woods at this point, and a straight shot was our best bet. We very quickly hear noise from behind us, and she yells to me, "He's following us." I'm not a runner, but adrenaline saved the day because I could have ran a marathon with how scared I was. So we are crashing through bushes and not following any sort of a trail at this point, but heading in the direction we needed to go to get out of the woods and closer to her house. We had to be running for at least 15 minutes, and most of the time, my friend is yelling directions to me from behind because she can see the guy. I'm clumsy, and I knew if I looked back that I'd be the idiot to trip like in the movies. At some point, we either lost him or he gave up. But we finally broke through the woods into the field between the woods and the houses in her neighborhood. So we jogged close to the fences, heading to her house, scanning the edge of the woods and trying to get oxygen back into our lungs. We never saw anything once we made it out of the woods, but we didn't feel safe until we got inside her house. We were a mess. She's soaked up to her thighs, and I'm soaked up to my calves. At one point, I wrapped my hands around branches coated with thorns so my hands are bleeding. She has some rips in her pants and shirt, and her dog was perfectly fine, because she didn't fall into the creek like an idiot and avoided all the thorn. We immediately start talking, and she said she had the same creepy feeling about the guy too, but didn't say anything at the time either. She said she noticed that he had given her dog kind of a dirty look, which is what made her feel uncomfortable. She had also caught a few glimpses of his face while we were running from him, and she said he looked absolutely livid. Her mom got home, and we told her what happened. Now her mom is not someone I'm a fan of. She merely tells us he was probably an off-duty cop coming to check on us to make sure we were okay since we were two young girls alone in the woods. Neither of us bought her explanation, but she managed to make us feel like idiots. I never mentioned anything to my mom because she would have just blamed us for going on a walk by herself, so nothing came of it. That was also the last time we went into the woods, just the two of us. We only ever went with a group of friends or her older brother, but we never saw him again. As an adult, I realized how truly messed up the situation was. The guy had to have been 6'2", and in his 40s. I was 51 and my friend was 53. We both looked even younger than 15, because I still had people at restaurants automatically giving me a child's menu when we went out to eat. So, there wasn't any real excuse for a grown man following two young females into a secluded part of the woods when we were obviously scared of him. So it's been over a decade now, and we now live in the same neighborhood and frequent the park. The dirt trail is now paved and a lot of the trees have been cleared away. I still, to this day, can't go to this park without looking for that guy though, or keeping a constant lookout for someone to start following me. So this happened to me in late spring of 2007, early in the morning, 6:30 a.m. or so. It creeped me out, and has stuck with me since. I woke up to a bark coming from down the hall, and rolled onto my back. My body didn't want to get up yet. Another bark, one day one auntie. "Alfie, it's okay," I called out from my bedroom. Alfie was a nearly 2-year-old Lhasa Apso puppy, with a lot of anxiety, which probably intensified by my personality. He wasn't accustomed to being around new people, which led me to taking him out for early morning walks. Selfishly, I was hoping he had just seen a person walking by the house or something. He barked again. Guess I won't be going back to sleep. The houses in the area backed onto a small grove and a public park with 2 baseball diamonds side by side, followed by a tennis court and a playground. It was flanked by the back of a plaza to the west. There was a path that went between the diamonds and led to the playground. We were making our way through the trees towards the path. I let out a yawn and rubbed my eyes. Bang, a loud metallic noise greeted us from the west. I expected Alfie to start barking, so I firmly gripped the leash, but he seemed unfazed and generally happy to be outside. Alfie stopped by a tree and lifted his leg just as I would be able to get a clear view of where the sound came from. I glanced to my right, and behind the plaza, there was a man pacing in front of a large dumpster. He stood tall and looked like he was in great shape, but something about the way he was walking made me think he was older, possibly elderly. He wore a dark paddy cap and black windbreaker with light beige khakis. He was carrying something, a club, or maybe a bat. He stopped suddenly and struck the dumpster with it. "Banyak, nursery usher." Alfie's bark startled me. I bent down and tried to calm him, despite not being entirely calm myself. "It's okay, Alf. It's okay." He looked up at me and tilted his head sideways. I gave him a head rub. "Fucking dog," I muttered to myself with a chuckle as I started to relax. As I stood up, my body reminded me how stiff it was. I took a deep breath and leaned back to stretch, noticing the morning dew on the leaves above. When I came back to the present, my heart skipped a beat. The man was staring at us. I immediately looked away and pulled on Alfie's leash, guiding him forward to the path. My mind was racing with anxiety. What the fuck? Is he watching us? He has a weapon. What does he want? Okay, I'm overreacting. Chill out. Breath. I focused on my breathing and kept moving. We walked along the path for a few minutes before Alfie stopped to pee again. I took a deep breath and glanced back to the plaza. He was gone. "See, nothing to worry about," I told myself, and turned back to Alfie. He turned around facing me, but his gaze was set back where we came from. I turned around and my eyes went wide. Oh fuck. The man was walking along the baseball diamond toward the area of the grove we had come from. Maybe he's going home, I thought. My attempt to be optimistic wasn't working this time. I kept watching as he walked along the fence. He was coming up towards the corner where the grove and the path met. "Come on, turn left and go home." He turned right. He was headed in our direction with his eyes set on us. I had a better view of him. He was definitely older, probably in his 60s. He moved as if his years hadn't caught up with him yet, and he was gripping an aluminum baseball bat. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. I looked down at Alfie, and suddenly felt very protective. I took a breath and looked back at the man. "What you want?" I shouted. He didn't respond. Judging by his blank expression, I wasn't sure he heard me at all. "Look, man, you're creeping me out." "Back off." "Nothing." He kept walking. I tugged on the leash to let Alfie know it was time to move. We started walking quickly away from him. "It's gonna be alright, we're going home," I said aloud, mostly to myself. Alfie came bouncing beside me as he took on a light jog to keep up. I looked ahead to the park, hoping to see other people, but it was completely barren. We were approaching the tennis court. The baseball diamond and the tennis court were separated by a grassy path with bleachers and a sitting area for a team. I looked back. The man was still coming, but he was falling behind. He couldn't keep up with our pace. "Fuck you," I muttered to myself and let my jaw unclench. I guided Alfie to the right towards the bleachers. I noticed Alfie was panting. He deserved a break. I scooped him up into my arms. "You're such a good boy," I told him. Going between the diamond and tennis court would lead me directly to the plaza. If I could walk around to the front of the plaza, I'd be able to get us home quickly. Walking as fast as I was with Alfie in my arms was more taxing than I expected. As I stepped off the grass and onto the pavement behind the plaza, I put him back down. Bang, I swung around and saw that the man was no longer following us. He was standing between the bleachers with the bat resting up against his shoulder. He was still staring at us, and the grimacing look on his face gave me chills. I turned away to walk home.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos, and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.